We pray that you will show us how to use those gifts each and every day, how to use them in ways that make your world a better place and glorify your name. We offer you our gratitude and hope in the prayer your Son taught us to pray, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Watermelon. They play around town. They play at Susie's in Hermosa pretty regularly. They played at the Lido in Manhattan Beach recently. They're a fine band that usually does blues, and so I have asked them to stretch a bit to do a steel guitar tune from Jimmy Buffett. But if you like it, please let them know that. But if you don't like it, if you don't think it's appropriate that Jimmy Buffett be played in the sanctuary, most particularly this tune, please talk to me. I asked them specifically to play this. It will now be my obligation to try to weave it into a sermon. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give you Manhattan Beach Community Church's very own gray-white blues band, Watermelon.
Thank you, Sam, for that introduction.
I took off for a weekend last month just to try and recall the whole year. All of the faces and all of the places, wondering where they all disappeared. I didn't ponder the question too long. I was hungry and went out for a bite. Ran into a chum with a bottle of rum, and we wound up drinking all night. Changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, nothing remains quite the same. With all of our running and all of our cunning, if we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. Reading departure signs in some big airport reminds me of the places I've seen. Vision of good times that brought me so pleasure makes me wanna back again. If it suddenly ended tomorrow, I could somehow adjust to the fall. Good times and bitches and sons of a bitches, I've seen more I can recall. See, it's changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, nothing remains quite the same. With all of my running and all of my cunning, if we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. I think about Paris when I'm high on red wine. I wish I could jump on a plane. So many nights I just dream of the ocean. God, I wish I was sailing again. Oh, yesterday's over my shoulder, so I can't look back for too long. There's too much to see waiting in front of me, and I know I just can't go wrong. It's those changes in latitude, changes in latitude, nothing remains quite the same. With all of my running and all of my clothing, if we could laugh, we would all go insane. We could laugh, we would insane. If we couldn't love him, we would all go insane.
Today's reading comes from Matthew, chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2 also gained another 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants cometh, and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is mine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knowest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it to him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, he that shall have abundance, but from him that hath not shall be taken away, even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. There ends the reading. Thanks be to God.
Meaning no disrespect to Manhattan Beach Middle School, I cannot imagine a finer elementary school than Hermosa Valley. Its excellence does not come from its facilities. In the 12 years I've lived in Hermosa Beach, those buildings have been the town's largest single political football, and I, for one, think they still got it wrong. Neither does its excellence come from the school board. The school board has lost the confidence of a significant portion of the electorate. Nor does it come from the school's administration. That's sometimes good, sometimes not so good. Hermosa Valley's excellence comes from its faculty, its teachers. Aurora's 3rd grade teacher was a guy named Pratt. At back-to-school night, Mr. Pratt gave all the parents a little quiz. As I recall, the average score was about 80. Mine was 65. Turns out Mr. Pratt was quizzing us on the things that he was going to teach our 3rd graders. Aurora's 7th grade English teacher was Miss Portner. Miss Portner started 7th grade English with Beowulf. In the 8th grade, her algebra teacher was Mrs. Avall. Mrs. Avall made one thing abundantly clear from the very beginning. This was an accelerated algebra class. Keep up or get out. Nobody had ever put quite that burden on Aurora before. Worked out just fine. But perhaps the best of the bunch was Miss Tammy Heath. It was Aurora's pleasure to enjoy Miss Heath as her history teacher in both the 7th and 8th grades. Miss Heath is here with us today, and if she'll let me embarrass her, will you stand up and let us welcome you? Ms. Heath's most memorable assignment, at least as far as I'm concerned, was this book. It's entitled Guns, Germs, and Steel, The Fates of Human Societies. She assigned it to me. Being a diligent student and trying to set a good example for my daughter, I dutifully read the book and reported on it. I'd like to read to you from the beginning of my report to Ms. Heath. Guns, Germs, and Steel, The Fates of Human Societies, by Jared Diamond, assigned by Ms. Heath, dutifully reported by Sam Foster, February the 2nd, 2008. In Guns, Germs, and Steel, Professor Jared Diamond posits, develops, and defends a thesis that human history is writ on only 2 variables. The first is the development of a calorie surplus. With such development, a society may relieve a portion of its population of the work of food production, which in turn enables the society to create and develop administrative, academic, and scientific, artistic, and warrior classes. The second variable is merely a race to create the first. His point being that a society which creates political structure, technological, and military superiority to its neighbors is well positioned to control and perhaps even subsume those same neighbors. It is after developing these 2 conventional premises that Diamond makes his huge leap to a very unconventional conclusion. Those 2 are destiny. Nothing else matters. In his prologue, Diamond says, quote, "The whole modern world has been shaped by lopsided outcomes. Hence, there must have been inexorable explanations, ones more basic than mere details concerning who happened to win some battle or develop some invention on one occasion a few thousand years ago. So that the Battle of the Malvian Bridge was won by a man who named Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire, which led to an imperial religion, which led inevitably to abuses of power and corruption, which led to the Reformation with its fundamental statement that faith was more important than works, which led counterintuitively but inexorably to the conclusion that each man is responsible for his own salvation and ultimate fate, which led to the Enlightenment and its development of systems to free men politically and economically, which led to a new nation as the ultimate expression of those tenets, and that nation's current economic, political, and military hegemony doesn't matter to Diamond. Christ, Constantine, Luther, Locke, Smith, Jefferson, and Lincoln don't matter in human history. What matters to Diamond is that species of flora and fauna that predisposed themselves to domestication were more prevalent in the Fertile Crescent than anywhere else in the world. As you can tell, I didn't agree with the good professor's thesis. But the question I was trying to ask here was, does the fact that we are a rich and prosperous society have nothing to do with the fact that the roots of our culture are Christian? Geographers have divided the world into 360 degrees, both north and south and east and west. The lines of division running around the globe are called parallels or latitudes, And yes, this is the part where I do my very best to make Jimmy Buffett's song relevant to the sermon. The latitude line running around the middle of the Earth is called the equator, and its designation is 0 degrees of latitude. As you progress south, that half of the Earth is divided in degrees of latitude, with the South Pole being 90 degrees south. Same thing going north, evenly spaced degrees, of which the North Pole is 90 degrees north. The one I want to talk about this morning is the 35th parallel, specifically the 35th north. This particular line is just north of Los Angeles. It runs through San Luis Obispo, across the United States, comes out into the Atlantic at about Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, proceeds across the Atlantic right through the Straits of Gibraltar and the Mediterranean, comes out at about Beirut, Lebanon, proceeds across the Middle East, cuts India in half, runs through China, and goes into the Pacific just north of Shanghai and a little south of Japan. Then goes back across the Pacific and comes out at Morro Rock and back to San Luis Obispo. After this long geography lesson, here's the point. That would have been my bride laughing at me. You're all allowed. She's the only one who's willing to actually do it. 76% of the world's income is produced north of the 35th parallel, 24% below. 15 of the world's 24 leading economies are above the 35th parallel, and 3 of them, India, China, and the United States, straddle it. If you credit the income of those 3, 92% of the world's wealth is produced above that line. Only 30% of the world's surface area is above that line. And when you consider that everything north of the 65th parallel is Arctic and produces virtually nothing, then less than 15% of the Earth's surface between the 35th and 65th parallels north produces 92% of the world's income. Why? Peter Zhao thinks he knows. Mr. Zhao is Chinese. He is not only a communist, he is an advisor to the Communist Central Committee. He is also a Christian. The People's Republic of China is embarked upon one of the grandest experiments in governance of my lifetime. And mine is a lifetime that has seen many grand experiments in governance. But in China's case, the outcome of the experiment will affect everyone in this hall, especially the younger ones. That the PRC is a totalitarian state, there is no doubt. We all hear and read of their demands on foreign producers of technology to control areas that are searchable on the internet and or to provide information on people who attempt to search those areas to the state. And far more directly and brutally, the massacre at Tiananmen Square is not so far distant. The PRC has 2 very unique issues which would be difficult for any state, most especially a totalitarian one. Those are population and poverty. According to the 2007 edition of The Economist World's in Figures, of the world's slightly more than 6 billion souls, 20% of them, or 1,313,000,000 people, live in the People's Republic of China. That's just about 1 billion more than in the U.S. And given that the land mass of the 2 countries is approximately the same, that means their population density is 4 times ours. But here's the real kicker. Our annual productivity is about $40,000 per person. Theirs is about $1,500, 1/4 of the world average. I didn't get benefit of John's 3 years of traveling around the globe, but I have been to China. And in addition to the wealthy parts, I have been to Manchuria and to the interior. Poverty, grinding poverty, is the single most obvious social aspect of those remote areas. In the last 20 years, China has created great wealth, but it is, as in the U.S., concentrated along the coastal areas, the Pearl River Delta, Shanghai, Beijing, Tianjin. China has 1.3 billion citizens, 1.3 billion mouths to feed every day. What are they to do to avoid unrest, which, if it comes, will affect the entire globe? The Chinese Communist Central Committee knows all of this, and they know that they must create enough wealth to sustain them all. Here, then, is their grand experiment in governance. They plan to remain a totalitarian state controlling people's thoughts and minds. But to unleash the economic system, to let the entrepreneurial spirit that seems to be embedded in the hearts and culture of those 1.3 billion Chinese to grow, become productive, and create great wealth. So how are they to do that? Well, this is where Mr. Zhao and his ideas come into it. Mr. Zhao believes there is a reason that 92% of the world's wealth is created north of the 35th parallel. That portion of the globe is home to the Christian nations. Said another way, 2/3 of the world's largest economies are Christian. Only 1/3 of the world's population. Zhao claims that there are 3 reasons for this. Actually, I just saw Inglourious Bastards last night, so I guess I should say there are 3 reasons for this instead of there are 3 reasons for this. The first is the shared moral framework that Christianity offers. To quote Mr. Zhao, the strong U.S. economy is just the surface. The backbone is moral foundation. He argues that without it, there can be no real trust between the various stakeholders in the production of wealth: partners, management, shareholders, employees, and clients. Mr. Zhao is not alone in believing that Christianity is a driver in creating wealth. In 1891, Pope Leo XIII's encyclical Rerum Novarum, literally of new things, responded to the dislocations of the Industrial Revolution. I want to read a small part of it to you, but before I do, I want to tell you about Leo XIII. This guy is not just some dead pope. Those of you who read the 1996 runaway bestseller Angela's Ashes will know that its author, Frank McCourt, stood staunchly against the Catholic Church. Mr. McCourt died about 5 weeks ago, and one of his obituaries pointed out that a picture of Leo XIII was the only portrait hanging in his home. From Rerum Novarum. But it must not be supposed that the Church so concentrates her energies on caring for the souls as to overlook things which pertain to mortal and earthly life. As regards the non-owning workers specifically, she desires and strives that they rise from their most wretched state and enjoy better conditions. To achieve this result, she makes no small contribution by the fact that she calls men to and trains them in virtue. For when Christian morals are completely observed, they yield of themselves a certain measure of prosperity to material existence because they win the favor of God, the source and fountain of all goods. They win the favor of God because they restrain the twin plagues of life, excessive desire for wealth and a thirst for pleasure. Zhao's second point, and this one surprises me, is that the motivations of people who do God's work causes them to continue to be productive. And he points out that when Bill Gates got wealthy beyond any ability to spend it, he did not take a young wife and quit. He kept working for others. And this is the spot where I try to make Warren Buffett relevant to the sermon. Buffett has joined with Gates and given billions of dollars to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. His partner, Charlie Munger, has just added a new wing onto the Huntington Library to house its art collection. One of Warren Buffett's sons has devoted his entire life to alleviating hunger in Africa. Why? In what way do these actions benefit any of the principles themselves? And Zhao's third point about Christianity, just that. It creates a moral mandate to care for the less fortunate. As far as I know, neither Mr. Zhao nor Leo XIII express an opinion as to whether wealth created as a result of the tenets in Christianity was Jesus' intention or is merely an unintended consequence of the message. But for those of us who are Christian and who attempt on a daily basis to live by Jesus' message, that is a critical distinction. What is it Jesus intends us to create with our labors? There are several ways to approach this question. The most arduous might be a thorough comparison of liberation theology. Christians should struggle against capitalism and for the collective good. And the prosperity gospel. You may remember a very charismatic preacher from San Diego 25 years ago, Terry Cole Whitaker, and her almost ubiquitous bumper sticker that said, "Prosperity is your divine right." But in the few short minutes I have left, I will attempt none of that. What I will do is offer a parable. A modern-day parable. It is a parable of two siblings, both bright, able, and driven. The older dedicated his life to the church. After college, he was off to the seminary and then ordination. His drive to make God's world better and a personal inclination led him away from conventional congregational work and toward missionary work. So after proper language and cultural preparation, he located in an impoverished village in a third world nation. He managed through dedication, devotion, skill, and perhaps a personal connection or two to drill a deep water well and plumb every building in the village for both potable water and sanitary sewer. He managed even to fund a small waste treatment plant. The incidence of cholera in his village dropped to 0. The infant mortality rate reduced to half of that of the national average, and longevity was 5 years in excess of the national average. He also got a school opened and raised literacy among the young to 95% in the population of his little town. His work brought dozens of souls to his church and to Christ. Upon his retirement, he had only a modest church pension, but he had saved perhaps 200 lives and twice as many souls. His sister's talents and inclinations took her down a completely different path. Her undergraduate degree at Stanford was in electrical engineering. After a few years of working for a venture capital firm, she applied for and was accepted to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, where she received her MBA. A few years later, she founded an internet company, which under her leadership became wildly successful. And over the next 25 years, she led it through growth, great trouble, and extraordinary success. She developed personal wealth that made her 36th on Fortune's list of the world's richest people. In addition, she created billions of dollars in wealth for investors, including the State Teacher Retirement Fund. That wealth helped fund the retirements of thousands of school district employees. When she retired, her firm had 7,000 full-time employees, and they had all been provided meaningful work, health care for themselves and their families, and significant retirement accounts. Some 14,000 children of employees had received college educations. In the course of her career, over 200 of her employees had contracted and been restored from lymphoma, Hodgkin's disease, and various other cancers. 65 high-risk pregnancies had been carried to term by her employees or their spouses. Over 300 millionaires had been created from employee stock offerings, and 5,000 families had retired to a life of leisure and grace. The question we are asked here is this: which sibling has done more to repair God's world? Like many philosophic questions asked of me, I do not have the wisdom to answer them. I have no clear answer. But I would like to believe that when their race is run and they finally see the face of God, that both of our overachieving siblings, as well as our new confirmands, and all of you in the hall, hear from your Lord and Master the phrase, "Well done, good and faithful servant." And to that, I hope we can all say, Amen.